The night wrapped the desert in a cool, quiet stillness, as Gyari led the coalition away from the oasis. The wind had died down, leaving nothing but the soft shuffle of their paws against the sand. Gyari's golden eyes glowed faintly in the dark, her senses sharp as they moved deeper into the scrub. Every step was a calculated one. Behind her, Tsaya followed closely, her usual confidence tempered by silence. Chark, still young and restless, kept to her right, his eyes darting toward every rustle in the undergrowth. Arza and Chirka, the newest members of the coalition, moved as shadows. Their presence felt more than seen. The five of them cut a path through the desert like ghosts. Gyari paused at the edge of a gully, sniffing the air. She could smell the faint traces of Walleran, but nothing fresh enough to give away their presence. The plan was simple, but it needed precision. They were to leave hints, broken branches, a scent trail, just enough to suggest they were weakened and desperate, hiding in the old riverbed. Once the bait was set, the real game would begin. Both members of Corlo's coalition and Miri's pack both frequented these parts, and if they didn't get one of their enemies, they would have a nice meal. "Keep your distance," Gyari whispered, her voice low and steady. "We need to make this convincing." Tsaya, always the first to question, gave a soft growl of approval. "And you're sure this will work?" Gyari turned her head slightly, catching Tsaya's sharp gaze. "It will work, but only if we stay focused." Arza, the largest of the group, stepped forward, his pale coat blending almost perfectly with the sand. "We need to be fast. There's no telling who's watching us." Gyari nodded. "Fast, but careful, no mistakes." Chirka, silent until now, crouched low beside a bush, tearing at the leaves with her claws. "We can use this," she murmured. "Scatter it along the path." Chark, eager to prove himself, was already pacing back and forth, his nose to the ground. "I'll make the first trail," he offered, his voice barely containing his energy. "They'll think we're wounded." Gyari hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Go ahead, but stay close." Chark shot off through the scrub, his movements quick but controlled. Gyari watched him for a moment, her ears twitching at the faintest sounds. The boy had spirit, that much was clear. But spirit alone wouldn't keep him alive in this place. She only hoped the desert wouldn't claim him before he learned that lesson. Arza worked on the second trail, moving slower than Chark, but with more experience. His method was deliberate, calculated, leaving broken twigs and disturbed sand in a way that looked accidental. Tsaya, meanwhile, kept a sharp eye on the horizon, her body tense as if expecting danger at every moment. "What if they see through this?" she asked, her voice just above a whisper. "We're only 5, Gyari." "They won't," Gyari replied calmly. "Not if we do this right." "And if they don't fall for it?" Tsaya pressed, her eyes narrowing. "Then we adapt," Gyari said, her tone firm. "But they will. They always do. They want us dead too badly to pass up what looks like an easy kill." Tsaya seemed to accept that, though her tail twitched with unease. As the night stretched on, Gyari led them further into the scrub. Their scent and signs spread just as planned. The old riverbed loomed ahead, a jagged scar in the desert, bordered by brittle trees and dry brush. It was the perfect place for an ambush. "Let's set up here," Gyari said, scanning the terrain. "We can watch from the ridge and strike when the moment comes." Arza and Chirka nodded in agreement, while Chark circled back, his energy still burning bright. He approached Gyari with a wide grin, clearly proud of the trail he had set. "I think they'll be fooled," he said, panting slightly from his efforts. Gyari allowed herself a brief smile. "Good work, Chark. Now we wait." The 5 of them took positions along the ridge, each cat finding cover in the sparse vegetation. The night air was cool, but Gyari could feel the tension in her coalition as they settled in for the long wait. Every rustle of leaves, every shift in the wind could mean the arrival of their enemies. Gyari's eyes scanned the horizon. The desert was vast and unforgiving, but it was also their home. They had survived this long by trusting each other and trusting the land. Now, as they waited in silence, she knew that their patience and planning would soon be tested. The game was in motion, and the first move would be theirs. Thank you all so much for tuning back into Eclectic Explorations. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and spread the word as much as you can. Again, I would greatly appreciate any form of donations to keep all of this going.